You know, recently through this last financial crisis that we've had, I found it very interesting as different colleagues of mine or people that I knew were really struggling with what was going on financially in their life as they started to watch their financial assets go away. And I had the opportunity, I was presenting to a group of entrepreneurs that I was coaching, and the idea came to me, and I presented it to them this way. I said to them, imagine that I lost everything that I owned. All my financial assets were completely wiped out yesterday. Everything. I've worked hard. I went to college, I went out, developed a great business, devoted my life to it, and in one day, gone. Now imagine also, I had a buddy, by the way, when I was growing up in high school. We'll call him Joe. And Joe was one of the best football players I'd ever known. In fact, he and I worked out together every day. His vision when he was a junior in high school was that he would become an NFL player. That's all he lived for. But during that summer, riding his motorcycle, he turned sharply in front of behind a car that had stopped suddenly, and he slid underneath it, broke his leg. They almost had to amputate it, but his football career was over. As far as Joe was concerned, that was almost the end of his life. He never got over it. He stayed in that town. He never went out. He went from job to job, began drinking, and he was all, guess what the center of his conversation was? Always. Talking about how great of a football player he was. Talking about the past. He lived in the past. He didn't know how to be in the present nor the future. And so he continued in that. But you know what he was good at? Playing the lottery. So let's assume that Joe, yesterday, the same day that I lost all my financial assets, that he won the lottery. Now, is that fair? Come on, is that fair? Is that fair that I worked my entire life, went to college, been focused on these, had all these financial assets, and in one day lose them all? And Joe, who's mired in the past and is good at doing the lottery, lucks out and wins the lottery. Is that fair? But that's life. And that's where the whole concepts of clarity, knowing where you're going, dynamic balance, knowing how to balance yourself even when you get a catastrophe, to bring all those things into balance so you can still make it up that cliff without falling. That's where that focus, to be able to focus in on what is my unique ability, what is it that makes me unique, and how do I focus on those activities that generate the greatest results. And if I do that, maybe I won't lose my confidence. So here's the question I expressed to the group. Let's imagine that we were all here 3 years from today, and you have the opportunity to make a wager. You can bet on me, or you can bet on Joe. And here's the wager. You can bet that you can place a wager that you'll get a percentage of Joe's net worth, or you can get a percentage of my net worth. Now, when I posed that question to the group, 100% responded. How would you guess? What do you think they responded? 100% said they would put their money on me. Joe had millions, I had nothing, but yet they would put their money on me. So I asked them, why did you say that? You know what they said? Because you're rich. I'm rich? Yes, you're rich in those things that matter most. Look at you. You've got a great family. You've got good health. You're supported by the family. You've got great values, great habits, great ways of doing things. The experiences that you have, the relationships that you've been able to go out and put together. You're rich. You have a history of giving back. You have passions that go beyond your financial assets. Your desire to do good. And you've done it before. You have that experience and knowledge of doing it before and the relationships that make it happen. You're rich. We will bet on you. Now let me ask you, if you lost everything yesterday, would you bet on you? And if that's the case, then you're rich, and you should be happy, and you should be grateful that you have all those wonderful blessings that make you that rich and you're able to go on. That's the difference between false wealth and real wealth, or what we call true wealth.